Halloween
Forever.
I have such a good joke for you. Ready?
No.
Oh, boy. All right. You guys are going to be excited, right? So, Bigfoot walks into a bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bartender is no longer able to discern reality and spends the rest of his life in a mental institution. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a fucking very special Showdown episode for the month of April. The year of our Lord, 2022. We are going to be discussing Bigfoot horror today, guys. There's been a lot of build up. There's a lot of anticipation. Emotions are running high. I'm sweating profusely. Meg's robo tripping. We haven't figured out what's wrong with Steve yet.
Nothing really. I'm actually okay.
Yeah, I'm good. He's calm, cool, calculated.
I like to look at it as like relative to us.
Yes. Yeah. Steve is flying high. Not in the same way Meg is.
Yeah, just my normal poverty and hanging out. That's all.
Just hanging out. Meg's having a salad, drinking lean. I'm about to crack into a brewski. But as I said, we are very, very excited for this highly anticipated Showdown episode this month, where we each have picked our very favorite, and I mean, of all time. And I think it's fair to say that these are our favorite, not only Bigfoot movies, but movies in general, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you speak for me anymore, Brian. I think I'm done.
These are three beautiful, beautiful films, all available in the Old Testament of the Bible, which is to say Tubi, for free if you would like to download them and view them. I'm sure most of you have already seen these many times because they are perennial classics. But we are going to, as we do in our Showdown episodes, for anybody who's new to the show, once a month we do these lovely Showdown episodes where we have a big old spinning wheel of topics that we contribute to, and our listeners and social media friends and things contribute to, and then we pick three of them at random, and then they are voted upon by those very same social media friends and listeners. And then once we have a topic, we each pick a film, we argue about it, we vote on it, and one person film reigns supreme for the month. You take home that fucking championship belt, that little shoulder candy to strut around town with. This particular time, I can only describe what happened as divine intervention from the cryptic gods of the Old Testament of Tubi. What happened was, one of our faithful listeners, Ben, he decided to suggest Sasquatch horror, or for the layman, Bigfoot horror, right? If you're not into the mysticism of the Squatch. We put it on the list. It got picked of, 40, 50 topics we have on there now? Yeah. Got picked immediately. Ben, of course, was voted the pick. So we are doing this. I say at the behest of some sort of supernatural force. Oh, and if you want to contribute in any way to all these dark arts that are being thrown around on the internets, check us out on the social medias at Halloween is Forever on Instagram, Halloween is Forever podcast on Facebook, at Hallow Forever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever pod on the old Tiki Talkies, or you know what, shoot us an email if you feel like it. It's halloweenisforeverpod@gmail.com. Now, how'd you guys feel about these three films overall? If you had to give the three combined films a 1 out of 10 score, gut reaction, what are you giving them?
I'm
Six.
good. Yeah, I was gonna say 6 or 7. That's where I was at, because they were like, some of them are just like bad, but they were still good. You know, yours is really bad, but I had so much fun with it.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
a
thought
hard
it just
10.
like had some good spook, jump. We'll talk about it later. But
Yeah, I'm a hard
that was fun.
10, and honestly, I didn't like either of you guys' movies that much, but mine is so like pressed against the ceiling of 10 so hard that even the pull of your shit films could not bring it down to a 9. It's still sitting at a 10, guys.
It's wild because I have it the exact opposite way in that Brian's...
That is wild.
Yeah, Brian's negative 100 is what throws off the average down to a 6.
So you're saying you think but you guys' movies are 10s, and mine's so bad it brought them cumulatively down to a 6.
Your film brings the cumulative nature of film in general.
The
down.
art of cinema.
Yeah, the art of cinema is it is a whole suck.
It is a beautiful disaster. A gorgeous accident.
My question is, has anybody checked not the nationality of David Wiscavige, but the
species?
Not the species even, just the universal origination. I do not think he's from our universe. I think he comes from another one in which, the Suburban Sasquatch is actually a good film.
Yes, and I have some theories about this as well, because not only did I watch the making of Suburban Sasquatch, which many people have seen because it, I think, comes with the DVD, although I do not have this on DVD. You can see it on the YouTubes and things like that. Also, which, again, I want to talk at length about, at least an hour dedicated just to that. And then he also did a recent interview on Hack the Movies.
Yeah, I also watched that as well.
Which is so bizarre and like contradicts itself in so many ways, which again we'll talk about here. It
contradicts what you see in the making of.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Wiscavige is an enigma wrapped in a riddle, boys and girls. I am very excited to talk about him. But yeah, so obviously my movie is Suburban Sasquatch from 2004, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Do you guys want to say what your movies are? Just as a reminder?
Of course. Yeah, I have the 2014 directed by Eduardo Sanchez, who originally directed the Blair Witch Project. I have Exists, which is a found footage, a Bigfoot film with a nice Bigfoot costume, unlike some. Unlike some.
I don't like nice. Fuck nice. Meg, what's your flick?
I have the 2013 classic Willow Creek that was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. Wait, how do you say his last name?
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Goldthwait.
That does
Where
not
have you been?
That's not even like. Do you think I literally talk about this person all the time?
Bobcat Goldthwait?
Why would you?
I mean, no. Why would I not?
Yeah,
okay, now we're officially seeing what Steve's problems are.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time talking about him. Well, it's like
Bobcat
the way it's
Goldthwait.
spelled. It's like, yeah. But so
listen, of Bobcat Goldthwait of Scrooged fame, all know him,
Police
of course.
Academy fame.
Nope, Scrooged.
Well, I think either are acceptable.
But he is also, I would say, probably best known, at least when he was at his height of fame, as a very unique performer and stand-up comedian that transitioned into like comic acting, but now is a director and a very cool guy and a very smart guy. And he is good buddies with Dana Gould, which is one of my favorite comedians, and also I love his podcast, so they always have him on, and he's fucking hilarious.
Right on.
So also a found footage film. We should mention.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say mine is also a found footage film, but it feels like one at times.
It
feels like a meta found footage. Like,
yeah, again, if David Wiscavige was from another universe, then the found part is us actually finding this movie.
Right. Yeah, it's not found footage in that like we're pretending that the footage that was found is now like that it actually really happened. It's just that somebody found some footage in the woods and put it together into a movie. All right. Cool. Or do we have beers? Everybody have beers? We want to talk about that
beers.
first? Okay. What you got?
I mean, Meg's been robo-tripping. I don't know.
Yeah, Meg.
I am not drinking today. I woke up with a cold, startings of a cold, so I'm abstaining. I'm drinking cold brew coffee right now.
Cold brew,
and
got
sipping on some Robitussin. Yeah.
Robitussin comes in at like 0.10%, right?
Probably.
Yeah. I am drinking a beer that I've never had before. Actually, I haven't drank it yet, so I should probably take a sip first. From Big Oyster Brewing. This is a brewery I have not experienced for. It's my very first beer that I've had from them, and I believe they're in Delaware. Yes, they are Lewis, Delaware. When I was in Philly this last week, I ran into sales rep for a Big Oyster Brewery. Very cool dude. And we talked and we exchanged some beers and he gave me a whole bunch of different stuff. So I just grabbed the very first one and cracked it open. It's called Hammerhead IPA. It's a West Coast style IPA, 6.4%. It feels very, throwback, kind of, retro West Coast IPA in the sense that it smells like Citra and Cascade and just a bunch of sea hops, and it's delightful. Really nice foam. It's fucking jumps out of the glass. Nice aroma on it. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good upon first sip here.
Nice. Where are they out of?
What part? Lewis, Delaware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're close. I think he said they're pretty close to like Dewey Beach and like Dewey Beer Company. He said, he said they're just a few miles away from them. Yeah, I think he said that they're like right up the road from Rehoboth.
Cool. My beer I am drinking is we're recording Wrestlemania weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so there's pretty much only one beer on everybody's mind.
Oh my God. Tell me you found it.
Total fucking failure. Why didn't I get El Segundo? Well, he's drinking the lager.
Okay, cool.
Drinking
I was gonna say, I like that.
Steve Austin's Broken Skull El Segundo American Lager. What?
Then I had a beer. And then I had another beer. I have actually. I don't think I've had the lager. I've only ever had the IPA.
I shotgunned the lager a few weeks ago. Actually, I'll send you the video. Ben and I, our Bigfoot friend, we shotgunned it together. But what happened was that people threw the beers at us.
Yeah, as Stone Cold requests. Yeah,
they collided.
Yeah,
his fell on the ground and exploded. And I caught mine, opened it, and started chugging. His was pretty much gone.
It was what I can only describe as a Keystone Cops type situation on the video. It was very funny.
He's got those butterfingers. What?
It was, it was a comedy of errors. Let's put it that way on the film. It was very funny. I haven't tried the lager. Is it like a pretty basic American lager, or is it like a hoppier, like dry hopped lager? Or?
Nah, it's not really hoppy or anything. It's pretty basic. It's 4.8%, so it's a little heavier than what you find with like Bud Lights and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'd say it's actually kind of sweet up front, but then it's pretty dry and malty on the back end. But I don't, maybe you would call it a crispy boy, maybe you wouldn't. I think you would be a much harsher judge of it than I would. I think it's fine. I like the IPA a little better though.
Yeah, I really like that IPA when it's fresh. That thing rips. I think it's cool. Okie dokie, boys and ghouls. Listen, there's nothing else standing between us and our endeavoring upon what I can only describe and have been referring to as a Squatch-tastic voyage. Meg is going to kind of christen the ship, if you will, before we push off on said voyage. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about just maybe a little bit of Bigfoot, a little bit of Squatch, Squatch lore?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it. So I love cryptids, and I think they're really fun. I feel like a lot of them, and similar to this one, it's like based on a lot of folklore and I found it interesting, Brian, that your movie had so much like indigenous like notes throughout it, whereas like a lot of the lore and stuff comes from like indigenous stories.
They tried hard.
They tried hard. Like, so that's a lot of that. And then there's stories like this all over the world, but it became more popular in North America, specifically in kind of like the Pacific Northwest area, like more Northern California and Oregon and Washington and stuff like that. And then like stories became
and the
more
Philadelphia suburbs. Don't forget the Philadelphia suburbs.
Specifically the Philadelphia suburbs.
Don't forget Westchester, that hotbed of Squatch activity.
I think we should start making up stories about Bigfoot in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we have so many hills and mountains and stuff like that. We could make this happen. Like
Yinzer Sasquatch.
You know what
He's
we
just got
should
a
do?
t-shirt tucked into jeans.
Do you guys know that Iron City sign that's up on like the Mount Washington area?
Yeah.
What someone needs to do is edit into like a picture of that is Sasquatch, just like walking right behind it or something.
I like that idea. That's a good spoof. I think we can pull off. Can pull it off.
You can see Bigfoot on the incline.
Actually, one of you guys actually has to dress up as Sasquatch. That's actually how we need to make this
Steve,
happen.
you're taller. You got to do it.
I understand.
He just accepted his fate. If any of the three of us is going to be Sasquatch, it's obviously Steve.
Right.
I feel like it would be
hairiest
funnier
guy.
if it was me, and then we did like this reverse Sasquatch.
It's just like
I'm just
5'5"
a baby.
Sasquatch.
5'5", but then we have to get her like real big pontoon like feet, like
Giant, comically large feet. Yeah.
I'm willing and able to do all of this stuff. We'll eventually talk in my film how they were following like the Patterson Gimlin video of a Sasquatch in Northern California and stuff like that. But I think during the 60s, like when people were able to more readily share information about different stories and about different things, the popularity of it really, really took off. But from what I read too, a lot of stories even became more prevalent between like 1800 and 1900s and stuff like that too. So, but trying to think of what else might be good to include. There's different type, like it's always an ape-like creature, but its name has kind of been referred to differently at different cultures and stuff like that. Like we have Bigfoot, we have Sasquatch, like alternative ones. Like I kind of put the Boggy Creek monster in a little bit because it does have the ape-like kind of features, but it's its own story as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Yeti kind of sometimes gets in the conversation here. But yeah, so that's a little bit about that, but nothing has ever been like scientifically proven with this. And that's what I kind of like about the story and about cryptids is that for the most part, it's just people's firsthand accounts. There might be different, pictures or videos that really can't be explained and whatnot. So I kind of like stories like that because I think, I don't know, it gives us like exciting lore that we could consider, I suppose.
And So I tend to like the more like supernatural cryptids. Yeah, your Mothmans, your various Mothmen and Wendigos and Skinwalkers and things of that nature. So I do very much appreciate when Sasquatch or Bigfoot become supernatural.
Yeah. I almost questioned myself. I was like, is that that part of his lore? But it is
in some instances.
Okay.
Like it is established that is a thing that happens. So I'm not just planting seeds of for my film, which obviously leans heavily into that whole idea. But there is a lot of supernatural Sasquatch lore out there as well, not just like, undiscovered species type of stuff. But I do like when he goes in that direction, and then he's interacting with the Mothman, and then that's just kind of where my fanfic spirals off into. But I do enjoy when it is supernatural in nature.
Yeah.
Have either of you, and this is a real 90s thing, did either of you play the Sam and Max video game on the computer growing up?
I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar. No.
Okay. It was just along that lines of like Monkey Island and kind of point and click games like that.
Sure.
But it was it was a detective mystery about Sasquatches.
Oh,
and,
interesting.
Like, you had to like save the set. It's like a whole clan of Sasquatches, but they all meet at like this luau hotel.
I'm very on board.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I'm sure you can pirate it. It's easy to pirate. It's probably but yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
There's nothing I love more than like a Sasquatch with like a lay on. That's just exactly what I'm imagining.
And there's
Sasquatch Tiki Party. That's a part.
I'm in.
Yeah,
110%.
Yeah.
I was too busy getting real horny with Leisure Suit Larry around that time frame. All right. Leisure Suit Larry, I'm pretty sure works into the Sasquatch, universe in some capacity. I'm not sure how yet, but
is that how we're referring to like Sasquatch and other cryptids as their own universe? Because I really want to exist in that world.
Yeah. And I like to pretend that there are, enough crossover between these different universes that, can be explained and tied together in a way that's convenient for my fantasies.
I'm following, right. Yes.
So, if I am not mistaken, your boy gets to pick the order, because I am currently the holder of the belt. Although, which one of you some bitches have my belt?
Your last champion.
We have not recorded in person in a while. So Meg has been keeping my belt warm for me. I do want it back so I can hand it to one of you two or retain it myself. But yeah, so the kind of rule is whoever won the last showdown gets to pick the order in which we present our films in this particular showdown. So that being said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Steve first, Meg second, and then I'm going to bring up the rear. Well, I usually go in the middle.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about more so like you always bring it up the rear. In a lot of ways.
Oh, it was an anal sex joke. Got it. Got it.
I don't know if it was. I thought it was just your movies are bad.
Oh, I thought it was something about like
no, I was. It was, but it's
up
like
the rear.
Bringing up the rear because you have terrible movies. But it's
I thought it was something about butt.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Yeah,
I'm not getting defensive about this. No.
All right, guys, let's fucking get into this. This is, so Steve will be kicking it off with Exists from 2014, 15? Yeah, something like that.
Mine's the newest one. You guys want to talk about Sasquatch movie? What? Yeti? What? Bigfoot? What? Skunk ape? What?
Skunk ape.
What the fuck?
I forgot. The skunk ape only really comes out. Yeah, I forgot about the lore of the skunk ape.
That's a real Louisiana, Florida.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
That's a Florida. That's when I think of Florida Bigfoot is the skunk ape.
Yeah, that's a Florida Bigfoot. But 2014 Exists, starring a bunch of kids, more or less.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah, it is presented in the proper format that a Bigfoot movie should. I'm not a huge fan of the found footage genre overall.
Okay.
I think there are some bright spots in it, but if you're gonna make a Bigfoot movie, I think found footage is the way to go, because you're talking like the origination of the Bigfoot zeitgeist is obviously with that Patterson Gimlet film that Meg mentioned earlier, and that's like the original found footage reality film. Is you see this guy, I mean, it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
It's a guy in a suit. He's
this whole
across.
Genre is guys in a suit.
Steve, I need you to shut your mouth right now. I will not let this blasphemous talk happen.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Keep my Bigfoot's name out of your fucking mouth.
Keep my Squatch's name out your fucking mouth.
But 2014, Eduardo Sanchez makes his return to the found footage genre and directs this film, and it's basically a pretty competent just horror film presented in found footage fashion, and it has a Bigfoot, and the suit is actually good. And I'm not just saying that to compare it to Brian, and because that's just way out of hand.
Yeah, but, congratulations.
Yeah,
it's better than the worst one of all time.
Right.
I'm gonna like lay down this complaint that covers both of your movies, but since we're talking about yours first here, this does cover yours swinging. Too.
She's dipping her hands in glue, and then
maybe this is actually a comment for like the end of Final Defense, but I think like what I didn't like about both of yours was that I feel like in a lot of ways what I liked about Willow Creek is that you never officially saw the Bigfoot. And I feel like
your film didn't have the budget to show a Bigfoot. Ooh.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean
that's what I mean.
I know that's what you mean. Yeah. No, but what I mean with that is that no one's really ever quote unquote seen a Bigfoot. Like when it comes down to the lore and the stories and stuff like that, like the whole idea that you never actually see Bigfoot, I think speaks to almost like maybe mildly symbolic in Willow Creek. And I think maybe
sure, great, Meg. You need to really tread lightly because you need to be careful with your film.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was going to say, who are you? For a quick second when you were talking, I was like, am I mixed up in whose film was whose? Wait, are you saying that you like the fact that you don't really see Bigfoot?
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, because I feel like it worked. It worked because I feel like
see.
it feeds into like some of the lore that goes along with it. And
I see.
I don't know. I kind of like that because it was like the fear is in like what you don't actually see.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I see what you're doing.
Like
I see what you're doing.
I think Steve's
I think the
had
fear
good jump
is in how
scares.
big the tits on it is. See, I can be self-serving too, Meg.
Yeah. Admittedly,
I think big tits are scary.
I think big titty Bigfoot is a little more upsetting. I don't know if it's more scary, but I would need more.
And they're also full of V8. That's how when arrows puncture them.
If we need to like deduce what is an actual Sasquatch, I will go with it. It probably has larger breasts, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If it comes out with H cups, I'm gonna not be happy. And like,
cups.
That sounds a bit sexist, bro.
Yeah.
It's just saying, like, obviously everything's bigger on Bigfoot, and it's weird that we would call it Bigfoot and not Big Tit.
Well, it also has mine also has a big old dong.
Dude,
yeah, yours
we're
has
not
a dong
talking
as
about
well.
pornos, though.
Do yours have big old dongs?
I don't know. I think mine was female, so.
That's true. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think mine was female. And then we never see Meg's, but it could be assumed that it has a decent dong.
I mean, yeah.
There could have been multiple because there at one point
Could have been multiple dongs.
I mean,
Why do we call it Bigfoot and not double dick?
No, there were multiple Sasquatches in mine.
Is it like a
You can
three-headed
hear
serpent
them.
situation? Yes, there
No,
was.
so
There were
there
multiple
might be some
Sasquatches.
boobs, there might be some weeds. We got all of it. We got it covered.
Yeah. No, you're right. You did have multiple squatches.
Right. But I think the important thing is with Brian's is obviously male.
Yes.
So it has big dong, big feet, and big tits.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a feature of the species that big tits goes across sexes of the animal.
Could be, and big old
Maybe they're
areolas.
hermaphroditic too,
Yeah.
Who knows?
This is a mystic cryptid creature. I mean, it has ascended beyond, binary genders. It's just out here fucking and sucking.
It's the evolved species.
It's the true two soul. And that it has big tits and big dick, and like that's where the Native Americans get that concept from. Is they saw Sasquatch with all of it.
Yeah,
it's like it's got all the things. I want all the things. I want to ascend to Bigfoot.
Yeah. It's
AKA
an evolved
Big Fit, or AKA Big Dit.
Big Fit is the watch that he's wearing.
Yeah,
it's Big Fit. It's a Big Fit Fitbit.
It sounds like a collaboration we could have.
All right, Steve. You have a movie. We completely derailed your very first sentence.
Wow.
Look, we got more into the lore. It's fine.
Yeah,
but,
that's all right. That's all right.
But anyway, my film starts. It at least starts with some action in that you have the kids arrive. They're on their way to a camping trip. This is all pretty tropey in a way.
Yeah.
They're headed to a camping site in Texas, which makes this maybe more of a boggy creek, but also a Bigfoot. It's all.
Yeah, they're supposed to be in like the hill country of West Texas or something kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but on their way there, they hit something, and they're not quite sure what they hit. But they
are. They caught it on film.
Well, they don't know what it is, though.
It's very clear what it is.
It's clear to us.
They're not alarmed by it, though.
No. Well, they're too busy setting their friend's beard on fire to really.
They're too busy saying "bro."
Yeah.
Well, one of them is.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a group of 5 kids. It's Matt and his brother Brian, and Brian is wearing the Daniel Johnston T-shirt.
It's his bro, Brian.
It's bro. Well, but I think they're actual bros. I think they're bros.
Yes, they are. They
like
are
bro bros in real life.
Yeah, they're bros. You have Dora and Elizabeth and their friend Todd, and they all arrive at a campsite that it's a cabin that was owned by Matt and Brian's uncle. And then they, they find a pig. Which
yeah. And not like a wild boar that you would find in West Texas, like a sow,
like a house pig. That actually looked like a house
like a
pig.
potbelly. Yes. It looked like a potbelly pig that you would have as a pet. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty hairy, but it definitely was not, one of the 40 or 50 feral hogs that we're all
no,
afraid
that
of.
you need the banana clip for. Yeah.
Another cryptid.
Right. That's funny. The 40 to 50 feral hogs is its own standalone cryptid.
Yeah, it's like a board collective.
I feel like, and what the lore is that they actually just turn into this like transformer big pig, like.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They turn into. Yeah, it's like that Simpsons episode. They just turn into one big giant pig. Or no, Family Guy. Wasn't it Family Guy where they did that?
I don't remember. No. Simpsons had Spider Pig, but I don't know that.
No, there was something Family Guy where there was a bunch of people and they all like globulated together into a larger being. I don't know. I'll look it up.
Would you think like Man Bear Pig would be an actual cryptid too? I mean, South Park's Man Bear Pig.
Yeah, I mean, if there was something that existed outside of South Park, to explain it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean,
in the South Park universe, it is in fact a cryptid, I would say.
Yeah. So, while they're at their campsite, they start getting harassed. They start hearing a lot of noises. There's a lot of rocks being thrown up against trees that they hear in the distance, a lot of yelling. But they seem generally unbothered by it, except for Brian, who is also luckily their main cameraman.
Mm-hmm. That's fortunate.
Yeah, fortunate that the one person super interested in recording Bigfoot is also, carrying all the cameras and the one who believes. And he tries to do his own investigations while everybody else is partying. He sees the Bigfoot crossing around up in the trees. He hears it. He's following it. And eventually it reveals itself. Mm-hmm. And it comes up on the porch. And I think that's kind of one of the better shots of the film.
It's a cool shot. Yeah. It's a creepy shot.
Yeah, it's a real creepy shot. You get like Nest Home camera video.
Mm-hmm. That's the question, though, is how. So I get it. There was some the uncle who owned the cabin was obviously aware of Bigfoot.
Right.
So he put up these cameras, these kind of CCTV type cameras to monitor Bigfoot activity, I assume. Like, that's not that big of a jump. But how did they get access to it and then splice it all together? That's the question mark.
I was like, didn't the guy wearing the Daniel Johnson shirt like set up some cameras? Because he had a bunch of different types of cameras. I kind of assumed it was that. But granted, yes. How did he go back and get all these
He did have all his camera equipment, which we did see. I guess it's not that big of a question.
Well, I think the answer is actually pretty simple in the fact, just to jump to spoilers ahead, that Brian is the one that survives. Mm-hmm. So he could just go back and get the tapes from that cabin.
I guess he could have, but he almost like resigned though to like, I am done with this. I am, you know what I mean? Kind of like in his moment where he kind of like surrendered to Bigfoot at the end. Sure. It just seems at odds with that decision to then go back and get all the foot. I don't know. It's not that big of a jump, I guess.
Because again, it's the whole conceit of found footage that you have to believe that the footage was found, maybe not necessarily. Maybe it's not by Brian, but maybe it was stolen from a police lockup. Because you still have to explain why 4 people are dead.
It's so random that I just had this very similar conversation with my friend and coworker Keith, but in regards to the Creep franchise and how and when the footage was released, and the concessions that you have to go along with for found footage nowadays.
You know what I want to believe right now is that there is some lore that we don't know yet, that maybe Bigfoot actually knows how to use technology and found all of the footage and spliced it.
He's the one who edited it.
Yep.
If you're listening, do you think Bigfoot is Avid certified, or does Bigfoot use Premiere, or
Bigfoot goes to college?
Yeah. What does Bigfoot use?
It's a Rodney Dangerfield flick.
I personally believe that Bigfoot uses Sony Vegas.
I imagine him with a giant like Flintstone style keyboard where each one of the keys are rocks, and he's like, yeah. and then there's like a bird like flapping its wings to power the computer, and it's like, it's a living.
Well, that's what the hog's for.
Oh, that's the hog powers the computer.
The hog powers the computer. The bird is for snipping the film.
It's like a toucan or something. Yes,
yeah.
It cuts the film, and then there's like a little snail that goes across and splices and glues.
Oh my god!
Glues it up.
I love all of this.
It makes sense. So, Bigfoot attacks the cabin, and everybody's freaked out. So they send out Matt, and Matt is on a bike, and he's accompanied by a GoPro because it's 2014 and GoPro is getting pretty popular about this time.
Everyone had 9 GoPros on their body at all times.
Yeah, this is real. I think GoPro. This is probably a commercial for GoPro because I believe this is when the first consumer version of it is entering the market. So they just want to show everybody, hey,
this is when like every commercial that you see on TV was shot with a GoPro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can take these on vacation. You can jump them into water off your sweet bike jump.
Hey, everyone needs a niche, and I think cryptozoology is a great niche to go after if I was GoPro. You know?
Yeah. This whole scene with the bicycle jumping into the water and shenanigans. I just wrote as the rad dudes with bad dudes montage.
Yeah.
It almost reminded me of that part in Paul Blart Mall Cop where they just all of a sudden start doing BMX tricks like in the mall.
But yeah, Matt's attacked on his bike, and then he's just kind of left for dead, as we assume. Bigfoot goes and attacks the cabin again, and at this time you have Elizabeth, Dora, and Todd all on the inside, and they're blocking up. That's everything in the house. But Bigfoot loses its shit and starts busting through, starts breaking down doors, kills Elizabeth, but they also find that underneath the house is a gun. Which
do they kill her? Isn't the one she gets grabbed by the head?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, I don't think she was dead right away, but she definitely died in the basement. Yeah, in the basement.
Yeah, she was pretty dead.
Yeah, she was on her way to being
dead. That was a pretty brutal hit, though. I will give him
that was cool. That was a cool scene.
I
took this is an exception I took with both of your films. I get it once they know it's a damn Sasquatch, like be cool, be quiet, turn the lights off. But early on when they don't know it's a Sasquatch, why are they all into like turning the lights off and being quiet? Like be loud, turn on every light, blast music, you know what I mean? Like eventually Sasquatch, Steven, your film, kills the power like he's fucking Michael Myers in Resurrection. He kills the power. Sasquatch goes and disables the generator.
Well, that's what makes Sasquatch more dangerous than a bear.
He's a certified electrician.
Yes, we already established he uses his own editing system. He knows how generators work.
Yeah. But yeah, why is everyone into being so quiet? Like, be loud, and that's what you're supposed to do when, like, a bear, you know, if you see a bear or something.
Not all bears, because remember, I don't know, it's like brown bears, you have to play dead, you know, so Brian, don't lie to the crowd.
I can't keep track of all of these rules for bears. It's like panda bears, you got to poke them in the tummy. Black bears, you got to do this. I'm like, I just run around screaming.
You got to boop them.
You got to boop a panda bear. If a polar bear comes around, you got to give him a Coke. It's like a whole fucking thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna yell and be loud.
Well, then you would die depending on the bear.
That's all right. I'd rather die than memorize all that shit.
Well, all right then, that's fine. But then you can't be judgmental of the other people who are following brown bear rules.
But they're in a house. Anyway.
Still,
come on.
Have you not seen any of the footages of brown bears getting in the houses? It's terrifying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh God. What was that Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
The Revenant?
I was like, did you not see The Revenant?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
that was actually a really good
it was
one.
not loud.
No, that was a good movie.
Point is, when you don't know what's out in the woods, yes, you should make noise, But when you figure out what it is, then you have to adapt.
That's
so like
true.
you're kind of right, Brian, but also on the other hand, these people are stupid, so they don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean the way that this guy is wielding this gun is hilarious.
Right. Yeah, Todd has never shot a rifle in his fucking life.
No.
Brian, I really think you should tread lightly talking about people holding guns.
Why?
Why?
These are trained assassins that I'm dealing with.
I just like loved how it was like a trope for cops that like
he cocks it like it's the fucking Punisher too. Pow! He like does it with one hand. I love it.
Oh yeah, no, we'll talk about the gun usage when we get to yours because it just cracked me up so much. Oh my god,
they forgot that guns fire projectiles. They just run at him with it.
I just like
there's a lot.
They're using all their shotguns as bow staff. It's so great.
Like. In my film, yes, Todd is the one who finds a gun, and he is pretty unsafe with his gun. Not a lot of muzzle discipline. Points it at the girls.
The stock never touches his shoulder. He holds it so far out. He's gonna knock his teeth out.
He should.
I mean, he's shooting like a little 410 or something. It's a tiny little gun, but still.
Still, I think that probably would have been better had he shot the gun and it kicked him in the face. Like that would have been just funny and like a good effect and made sense.
And
of like,
realistic.
Don't shoot guns like don't shoot guns like that. You look like an asshole.
I remember the first time when I was a kid, the first time I ever shot just like a 12 gauge shotgun. I didn't know what I was doing, and I held it away from my shoulder, and it kicked back and gave me a giant fucking bruise on my shoulder.
I knew so many of those kids in like high school, like when we were all turning about that 13, 15, you know, in that range.
Oh, I was
so
like
many
8.
kids. I
think I fired a gun for the first time when I was like 6.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is just where I live.
Yeah, there were so many kids that came to school like in that 13 to 15 range with that giant bruise, and it's like, oh, holding it wrong, were you?
yeah.
Because they were taught by their dumb drunk dad rather than going to scouts.
Steve, I'm more so curious why everyone knows. Is everyone just wearing sleeveless shirts in your school? Is that like was that like the norm?
It's the summertime. Yes. What else do you wear?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just like, that's a lot of people with tank tops on, and I just find that
where we
odd.
lived, the only way that you got short sleeve shirts or shorts were cutting off longer sleeves.
Yeah.
Or pant legs. How do you get something short? You cut it off.
It's like, no, that's how you actually show your marking, is that when that happens, you then officially cut the shirt that you're wearing. It's very ceremonial too.
Yeah.
Also,
you
we
got
just
to
have
drink
gym
the blood
class.
of the animal that you killed. It's the whole thing. That's true. That, by the way, that's a true thing.
Yeah.
We used to, people when they get their first deer, you would drink some of its blood. That was a real thing that people did.
You want to hear how much of a bitch I am? My dad like put me through a hunter safety course and all this stuff. And the first time he took me and my brother out with him when he was deer season, I was just helping push, and I decided in that moment, I'm like, I will never do this. I was like, I hate, like, I'm like the gopher here for my dad, and then also I was like, I don't want to kill a deer ever. Like, my dad took so much time to teach me and my brother how to like shoot and like do all this stuff, and I'm just like, nope.
I've never shot a deer ever. I've went hunting so many times. I never shot a deer. I was always sleeping and just like, we did a lot of small game hunting, but I would just literally find a spot, get comfy, go to sleep. Because it was like 5 a.m. I didn't want to get up.
Right. Sleeping cold, too lazy to go that far into the woods.
Yeah.
Not,
Oh, yeah. My dad and my uncle would hike us like miles into the woods, and they'd be like, all right, you go up there about like 300 yards and sit there. I'd be like, okay, good. Just fall asleep immediately.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far in, so I never saw anything either. So. But hey, this is a good segue to brings us to our next location. As they escape the cabin, they run and they find a hunter's blind that has been dug out. I can only assume to hunt 30 to 40, 50 feral hogs at a time.
Did you talk about did we miss when Bigfoot went E-Honda on their car?
Yeah. That happened earlier. That's what set off that sent Matt on his bike, but they found They found the car they arrived in had a tree thrown through it.
Yeah, he literally
Just
did
busted
that bonus level in Street Fighter 2 where you just destroy a car.
Yeah.
That's what they did to it. He was just like fucking 100 hand slapped it.
Yeah. Bigfoot beat the shit out of their car because the car, we'll find out why, but the car deserved it.
Bigfoot's a little cranky,
Yeah, mad angry. They find themselves in a hunter's blind. Again, it's more shooting at Bigfoot. Bigfoot's throwing rocks back. This is probably the second best part of the film, maybe, in that Todd calls Bigfoot the N-word, which Todd is black, by the way. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like some
There's
white guy
a lot
calling.
of ad-lib dialogue in this film.
Yeah.
Most of it's horrible, specifically by Todd. Todd is not good at ad-libbing dialogue. He does a bad job. Some of the other ones are pretty okay with it. And I have attempted to do this before for things. Ad-libbing dialogue is a lot harder than you think it is, because everyone watches like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and goes, oh yeah, you could just talk over each other and it's just going to come out normal. No, it sounds fucking terrible. This guy really didn't know how to do it, but in the moment with that gun, he got real excited.
Yeah, he got real excited. And he said, fuck this shit, and then also called Bigfoot the N-word. And I think this is the only movie I've seen that goes to such lengths.
I think if I had to say, and I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet on, yes, this is the only film where Bigfoot is called the N-word. And that alone, that's a badge. I mean, right there.
Yeah, it's a badge. Again, I said last episode, I picked this film because it's not because it's unremarkable, but it's just pretty down the middle. It's competent. It did what it needed to do, and that's more than you can say about a lot of Bigfoot films. But it does have its bright spots. And a Daniel Johnston t-shirt, that's one.
Just happened.
That was my bright spot of the movie. I made a point to post it.
Meg was very, very pleased when she was watching it. She texted us like, "Oh, sick Daniel Johnston t-shirt."
The actual Bigfoot costume, that's another bright point.
It is good. It is good. I think it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a lot more running through the woods, chasing through the woods. At some point they hear Matt calling out, and Brian goes to investigate, and he finds, I guess, the Bigfoot hole. And
I guess
cave, maybe. It kind of
Bigfoot cave. Yeah, it's just a hidey hole, I guess. And he pulls his brother Matt out of the hole. More escaping. They find
his legs are all mushed up. He went he went all Charlie Murphy on and made his legs into linguine. What am I gonna do about my legs, Bigfoot?
Motherfucking Bigfoot chewed up my legs.
You can get me out. What am I gonna do about my legs?
They find I can only assume a meth lab that's in the middle. They just find a camper.
I guess,
any random camper that's in the middle of Texas, I can only assume is a meth lab if I'm to believe Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I feel that's kind of where my head went to.
Yeah, they hide out in there. They get a hold. They've been contacting the uncle. Yeah, it's a camper. Yeah. But they they have spotty cell service, so they've been somewhat contacting the uncle who owns the cabin, informing them that they're in the area. They are hoping to get him out there, I guess, to get a ride out. Yeah, but
he knows the area. Obviously, it was his camp. Yeah. Is this the scene also right around now where they kind of connect for a quick second on a kind of disrupted signal? Is also where the guy sits on his linguine legs. Where like Todd sits on his linguine legs, he's like, my legs. Yeah. He's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I actually laughed at that. I thought that was pretty good.
There's not a lot of room in that camper at this scene.
Just sit on his busted ass legs. So ignorant.
Todd comes up with the idea. They get in contact with the uncle, and he's in the area. So Todd brings out fireworks that you saw established. They bought them on the side of the road at the beginning of the film. So Todd brings out fireworks to let the uncle know where they're at. But in that time, Bigfoot comes out of the smoke and attacks him, and Todd gets killed. So
yeah.
stand to
And
Todd.
pretty unceremonious. There was some really cool scenes in the last like 20 minutes of this movie. Todd's unceremonious death was not strong, I thought.
No.
They could have done more with it, especially when he was like the aggressor. He was the guy who was blasting indiscriminately. Meanwhile, when he found that gun, he brought up a cigar box. I think it had 4 shotgun shells in it.
Right.
And he was going fucking, Duke Nukem on him, blasting in all directions.
I can only assume that they found more shells in the hunter's blind.
I guess
that's
1,000 more shells. He was just literally, when he
Yes.
called Bigfoot the N-word, he was blasting indiscriminately. And it was a single shot. It was a single shell shotgun. It wasn't like an over and under side by side. It was single shot. And he loaded it like it was a muzzle loader. It took him 45 minutes to load it, but the second he loaded it, he randomly blasted it into the woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a point too about like I think there's like the differences in like the Sasquatch. Like I kind of liked it about this movie is that like this Sasquatch was so intense and so kind of scary to a certain extent that I felt like comparing it to like zombies where we have some that are a little bit slower and then we have the ones that are like crazy intense and like rage induced, and I kind of was like this movie kind of had that vibe, whereas Brian, I felt like yours was like a little bit slower paced and stuff like that. But.
Yeah,
What is the point?
That's
what is the
kind
point of picking at Brian's movie?
That's
I'm not
the
picking.
kindest thing
No,
about
that
that.
wasn't. No, I'm literally just making a comparison. I know how it came out, and you guys saw my face, so it did come out as a judgment.
Steve's
But it
Steve's was like a Marvel superhero Sasquatch almost.
No,
Like
Yeah.
especially with the.
I
and
want to give it that much
wanna,
credit.
I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, when he jumps down, we're about to get to this.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
wanna,
I mean, that's basically where we're at now, because after Todd is killed, you have Brian, his spaghetti legs, and Dora, who are in the camper, and Bigfoot throws the camper down a hill.
He yeets it down the side of the cliff.
Well, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to say he yeets it, because I think for a true yeet, you got to give it airtime.
Yeah.
And he just rolled it.
He tumbled it. Yeah, he
Yeah, he
dipped it over the
tumbled
edge. Yeah.
But
But it was a great scene. They
yeah.
shot. That was a cool, well shot, I thought.
yeah,
I don't know what it is
cool,
about you guys
well-shot
using
scene.
yeeted like that just always cracks me up. I don't know what it is.
Because I just imagine that girl in the video going,
Right.
"This bitch empty." Yeet. It's funny.
And then after that, you put all the other things we've talked about being needed in the past in her hand, and imagine her throwing Myron down the hall. You know?
Yeah, from Head of the Family.
Yeah.
So fucking
Now that
But-
was a yeet. That was a true
That
yeet.
was a
was
full yeet.
just
Full
definitely,
yeet. He had
yeah.
full air and then did a tumble. Yeah, full yeet.
Yeah.
But then, you also get a really cool shot, and it's probably the best shot in the film, of Bigfoot jumps off the cliff over top, and you have the camera looking up as Bigfoot comes down on top of the camper.
Yeah.
And it begins, like, at this point, Spaghetti Legs is dead. Dora dies from unspecified injuries.
I think she just gets fucked up in the tumble. I kind of like that, because normally when there's like a lead character, they, even if they're fucked up and get injured in some way, when something traumatic happens like that, they miraculously survive so they can have a more like significant death later. And I like that it was like, no, he just fucking died when he threw him off the cliff. Like I kind of actually like that.
Yeah, I don't mind the fact that she died. It just wasn't clear like what she died
You
from.
never knew she was going to come back or what. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have like a more specific final death using like some sort of makeup or something of like
You could have her head
neck.
smashed under something or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just something that's very apparent that she's not surviving. But other than that, it's fine. I appreciate that she did die, because it just came up so unceremoniously of like dumping that trailer, and then both of them go in an instant.
Yeah.
And then, Brian has to escape. He jumps out the trailer, and then this could have been another really cool shot, but I don't think it plays quite as well. But Bigfoot runs through the back of the trailer, and that would have been like really cool, as like the way we've seen Jason run through buildings and shit and just bust through doors. I think it would have been cool.
He could have Wile E. Coyote'd it a little bit more, maybe, or something.
And it just, if it was a little more in focus, because like the guy who's playing Bigfoot in this film he got his career started by playing Bigfoot. He played Bigfoot. He played Harry in the Harry and the Hendersons TV show.
Oh, no shit. I love that show.
Yeah.
I love that show.
But then, like, you can go through his credits, and he's done a whole bunch of other, like, good monster work. Like, he's also played the Predator in other Predator movies, the newer ones.
Yeah.
And then, like, he played one of the monsters that fought Hellboy in Hellboy. So, like, he has some pretty good creatures.
Physicality's great. Yeah, he does a great job in the costume.
But yeah, he runs down Brian. Brian gets knocked out, and Bigfoot drags Brian to this apparent ceremonial site.
It's like the creek bed there, kind of.
Yeah. It looks like a dried up creek bed.
I'm pretty
or
sure it's the
swamp.
same creek bed from the scene in my movie where he rips the guy's
Makes sense. Yeah. But Brian sees that Bigfoot has lined up all his friends in a very like intelligent way that you wouldn't see other animals do.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a sense of intelligence from that. And then Brian pans over and sees that there is a dead baby Bigfoot in a makeshift grave, because it looks as though the grave is dug by Bigfoot just uprooting a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the hole left after he tipped the tree over. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you see a dead baby Bigfoot, and then it all comes together.
It's like an adolescent Bigfoot. It's not like an infant Bigfoot. It's like a 6'5",
It's like
adolescent.
It was
Bigfoot.
smaller than that.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I think it was more
Either
like
way,
a 3
guys,
or 4 foot.
it was her baby. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a baby Bigfoot, and its tits hadn't come in yet. So.
That's how you could tell.
That's how you
adolescent
know.
Bigfoot. You count the rings in its tits.
Right.
Maybe it has multiple nipples too. I would definitely go with that.
But you put it all together, and that's what they hit at the beginning of the film. That's why the car was trashed. That's why they're being hunted. And Brian tries to apologize. He tries to save himself, but Bigfoot just rubs his nose in it like a bad dog, which is pretty funny. And then Uncle Joe comes out of nowhere with the save with the shotgun.
Yep.
Or so you think.
Yeah.
Because then Uncle Joe fucking gets it too.
Yeah. Uncle Joe's dispatched pretty unceremoniously.
Yeah. But it all leads up to a final scene of Bigfoot again corners Brian. Brian has the shotgun, but he decides he realizes that he's in the wrong and decides he's going to give up his life. He puts the shotgun down and just waits for judgment by Bigfoot, and Bigfoot lets him go.
So I think this is actually a Christian film at this point. So
there's some Christian mythos going on here.
Is it a Christian mythos, or is it Native American mythos in which you find yourself judged by the animal?
That could be true too.
All right. I'll take my joke back.
I do like though that like just a moment earlier he plays dead. And that was a cool scene where he kind of screams in his face and he keeps his cool, keeps his calm. And then like incredible amount of like control. And it was a good, well acted scene too.
Yeah.
And the Bigfoot is right up in his face screaming and is like kind of confused as to whether he's dead or not and is like trying to roll him, like checking if he's dead basically.
Right.
And then after this masterful performance, tricks the Bigfoot. He waits exactly 15 seconds to get up. And then the Bigfoot, of course, drags him away. But it's like, if you just went through all that and you could control your emotions and heart rate and all those things for that amount of time, maybe give it more than 15 or 20 seconds before you go like, got him, and jump up.
Is it gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to move the story along. You don't have too many more days.
We also haven't established the fact that Brian, the sole survivor here, is an absolute creep and a piece of shit.
Yes, very much so. We did gloss over that for sure.
Yeah. We conveniently glossed over the fact that he was like hiding in the woods and filming his friends having sex and like doing a lot of...
Now, I don't think he went out to film them having sex. He just happened upon it, and then he did turn away.
Didn't stop.
No, he
did.
literally went as far as to say, I shouldn't be filming this.
Yeah. And then he
But
turned it
continued to film
Yeah.
it.
he turned it on himself after her top came off.
He
And
did
then
not.
that's when Yes, he did.
I
Yes,
well,
he
for a
does.
quick
Okay.
second, and then he went right back
he
to
should
it.
have also just
No,
walked
he
away.
went to Bigfoot.
Oh, well,
'Cause-
yes. So it wasn't his conscience that was like, I shouldn't be filming my friends having sex. It was, a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he after
I
he
know.
got a pure side boob, he said that's when his conscience kicked into play.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
No, this guy's a total piece of shit. And then of course his brother, which I did think his brother was dead, but then turns out he's not. He just has linguini legs, but then he ends up dying anyway. Yeah, he was definitely I wouldn't go as far as to say an anti-hero, an unlikely, final character kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was very much the hippie stoner of the group. He was the one out in the middle of the woods, getting super baked. Oh, and also there's one part which we didn't talk about where they're hiding, and is it under or is it in the camper? They're hiding from Bigfoot, and he goes to light up a joint.
Yeah.
And then what's her name looks at him.
Yeah.
And he's
Dora.
Dora, and he's like, I'm not going to smoke the joint. Like it was some sort of like personal victory.
Right.
First of all, if you are hiding from assumingly an enhanced, highly intelligent animal, which again, assume has a, bear-like sense of smell, probably at the very least as good as like a dog. You were really thinking about sparking up a J. Like that was the move you were going to do.
Right.
Yeah. It seems.
I feel like now this
seems
is just
risky.
giving me all the ideas of a Sasquatch movie where like they're a stoner.
Yeah.
I want
Stoner
that.
Sasquatch movie.
Like
Fuck,
it
that's a
got
great
adopted
idea.
by a bunch of hippies in the 60s and just
Yeah.
sits in their basement smoking weed all the time.
Just Bigfoot
Yeah.
ripping bingers.
Yeah.
But also hiding out, and so no one sees
And he's
him.
got like some ceremonious bong. Yeah.
Oh my god,
Dang it.
I'm here for
Yeah,
it.
this is a full
TM.
moon feature.
TM.
This is a full moon feature.
If Bigfoot smoked weed today, would he do dabs or would he do e-vape?
No, he's a dad boy. I would say. I mean, he's smoking flower. Come on, he wants to be one with
All
the
natural.
one
As
with
natural
the,
as possible.
yes.
He would or she would experiment. I think
Yeah.
across the board. Like I'm cool. Like that's what I think.
He would have that little thing where it like separates the keef kind of thing out, and it would be like a whole ceremonial, one of those big long ceremonial peace pipes. It would be a whole hippie thing. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I appreciate you guys taking this all so seriously. I appreciate it.
Listen, if somebody said to me, why do you want to have a podcast? I would say, so we can talk about what type of weed smoking habits Sasquatch has.
Right.
Like that's literally why I want this podcast to exist.
Yeah, if you want this movie to happen, Meg, of Bigfoot being a weed smoking hippie, you have to figure out the details to make it the most
I'm
You
believable.
got to
so
put it
here
out
for
into
it.
the
Yeah.
ether.
I'm good on it. I'm glad.
I mean,
I'm
where
hoping-
else
I'm
in
just
my life can I
waiting-
have these discussions?
I'm just waiting for someone to come to us and be like, I want to make your dreams a reality. Someone make my dreams come true.
Yeah, you want a Pretty Woman scenario to come to play out, but it's listen.
Who wants to be my Richard
Let's
Gere?
make a Sasquatch
Right.
Sasquatch weed movie.
Oh my gosh.
Oy.
Anything else on Exists?
No, I don't have too much else. Again, I think it's just a good, straight down, competent movie. I will make one mention that, the sound design in comparison to what we're about to talk about.
Wait, my movie or her movie?
Both.
Yeah. The sound design. I mean, this was obviously a much higher budget, not even higher budget, but it was definitely a more polished project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then just like again the camera work is I think the downside, and it's both for my movie and Meg's film, is that these are way late in the found footage game.
Very.
Of
2015, very, yeah.
Yeah, like 2013 for Meg's, 14 for mine. Like, we're already way into like VHS.
Yeah.
The Paranormal Activities.
Cloverfield is like almost a decade old at this point, right? When did that movie come out?
I thought that was like a 2009 or 10,
I thought it was 2008,
maybe, but,
so yeah, maybe not quite a decade,
But yeah, so we're like way deep into this. I think if these films came out earlier, you know, they would be they have a lot more fonder memories. But at this point, like, I don't feel like they really innovated anything, because, you know, we're already so deep into this. But I still think this is the proper way to present a Bigfoot film. Yeah. You know, because it harkens back to the origins.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned that in the first place, I think that makes way more sense. And everything you're saying related to like why they would do it, I would totally get on board with that idea and thought too, you know?
I do like that. It's weird, and we'll get to this probably at the end, but I just want to plant this seed now. It's interesting that when you think about the main difference between Bigfoot films, and like we said, there's probably 50 of them just on Tubi. As I've been watching them over the last month, the main difference is kind of like the motivation of Bigfoot a little bit. Yeah. So like although mine is supernatural also, the motivation of Bigfoot to attack is the encroachment by humans.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing with Steve's movie. It's the encroachment of humans. They came in, killed the baby Squatch. Now it's on the mama Squatch is on the warpath. In Meg's movie, it's just like they stumbled. I guess it's a little bit the same way in that they stumbled into its kind of environment, kind of.
Right.
But it is more malicious. It's not Frankenstein. It's not a sympathetic. It's not a sympathetic creature in Meg's movie. It is like a pack animal type of situation.
Right.
Whereas in ours, it's a humans encroaching on its territory thing.
Yeah. Which, I mean, more so than a pack animal, it has its own reason for doing things, and Meg can reveal like the end of this film if she wants. But I'm done, so I guess it is Meg's turn.
Continued in part 2.